Those quarantine blues. Can't stay inside for too long. I think I'm gonna build a garden. We're out here in beautiful Campobello, South Carolina in the upstate. It's 65 degrees outside. As you can see, I've got my previous garden space fenced off here with some hog wire. But today I'm going to be expanding that space with the use of a tiller and some paver stones to kind of create a border, and I'm going to fence off some more of it, and we're going to build some raised beds. So it's going to be probably expanded to about here. Get a smaller one that had kind of like an Echo brand. It had kind of a weed whacker engine. It was a 2-cycle, but my buddy Mark found one online at a different Home Depot location for just like 30 bucks more. This thing was $329, and as you can see, this is not a weed whacker engine. It's got a lawnmower engine. It's a Power Mate, which is Home Depot's store brand. So it's brand new. They just assembled it by the time Mark and I got to that Home Depot, and the guy was working on assembling the second one that they had in stock. But I've got to open up my owner's manual, check out all the operating procedures and safety and all that kind of stuff. I've got to put oil and gas in it, and then we're going to get started. Procedures and some of the maintenance schedule. I put oil in it and gas, so let's see. I gotta turn it on, I gotta prime it, and hopefully it works. Well, that's my first time ever operating a tiller. It kind of wants to pull away from me, so I kind of gotta like hold it back. It's pretty cool. It's a shallow till right now, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shallow till the spot that I want to extend my garden in, like this basically big square, and then I'm gonna readjust the tiller to go to a deeper depth, and we're gonna see what happens. So. This tool is badass. So, as you can see, I have completed the square. I extended this line out to right about here, went down that way, and I pushed it back a little bit. I have to be careful because there's a power line running from my house out to the well, so I can't go too far that direction because that power line's out there, so I went as far as I felt comfortable. But I tilled it one way, and then I kind of cross-hatched it and tilled 90 degrees perpendicular to the way I started. And then I set the tiller at a deeper level and kicked up even more. I'm going to kind of rake it smoothish, and then I'm going to use the flame weeder, and I'll show you that in just a second. Part of it, I bought a flame weeder, which is essentially a propane torch at Harbor Freight Tools. This thing cost me 35 bucks, and it just attaches to a grill tank, regular propane grill tank. So I'm gonna open up the fuel, and then I'm gonna open up just a tiny little bit of fuel on this knob right here. I'm just gonna turn it a little bit until I can hear the gas. It's got an electric ignition. And then I'm in the shade right now. Hopefully you can see the flame once it turns on, and then I'm going to go out and burn the top of what I just tilled. I don't have to do it again in probably a week or so. As stuff starts to sprout up, I'll just go back through there and burn it again. So let's check this out. It's hard to see in the daytime. I'm going to pull the trigger. Yeah, the flame is almost impossible to see, but it's definitely a hot blue flame right now. Previous garden area is what I made my stakes from. So I'm going to cut some more. I'm going to break the branches off and pile them up in a fire pit. I'm not allowed to burn right now. Guess I shouldn't have been doing that torch. But whatever. And I'm going to go select some of that bamboo that kind of tips out of the bamboo forest. I'm going to get that stuff first. Just cut it at the base with this saw, and then use my hatchet to kind of break the branches off. So, anyway, that's this task. Let's stop on the way back to this bamboo to cut some more. We have what we call appleberry corner. So I've got 3 apple trees, a red delicious, a golden delicious, and a Macintosh apple. And then I've got blackberries, raspberries, and goji berries going in kind of an arc right here. So anyway, let's go cut some bamboo. Alright, I'm going to cut this probably into 2 or 3 good canes. Woo! neighborhood cats hanging out with us. So, I've cut some bamboo and I've processed some of the canes. So I've taken the leaves off and the branches, and those are in my fire pit for whenever I'm legally allowed to burn again. And now I am cutting poles to kind of match the ones from my previous garden. And I'm cutting them about 51, 52 inches long so that I can pound it down 11 or 12 inches into the dirt, and about 40 inches is up. This is about 40 inches tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark with a marker right here so that when I go to pound them down into the sand, I'll just use a hammer and pound it down until that mark, and then I'll affix the hog wire to these things. I'll drill holes through the canes and I'll fix hog wire with zip ties. So come check out how I cut the cane. I cut one side flat so I can hammer it, and then I cut the other side kind of at an angle so it's more of like a spike that can go into the dirt more easily.
This little piece, put it on the fire. Hey, buddy.
Gotta be careful, you don't want too much of it to split off or it starts to lose its integrity, but this fiber is pretty good. So, got a flat side to hammer down, and I've got a pointed side. And so what I'll do is, I'll put my marker, it's in my pocket. What I'll do is measure out from the pointed side about 11 or 12 inches, somewhere around here. And then I'll hammer it in. So, when we bought this place, the front yard had this big oval like flower bed type thing, and it's lined with all these big paver stones, and it's kind of a pain to try to keep it weeded and all that. There's a whole bunch of red gravel and landscape fabric, but the weeds just grow anyway. So my buddy Mark's been helping us dig out that gravel, and we're filling the ditch on the other side of our property with that gravel. And I am going to repurpose these stones as a border for my expanded garden. So on the border, I'm going to put this landscape fabric down, and then I'm going to put these paver stones on top of it, kind of give me a little bit of extra weed protection at the border. And at some point I may end up putting landscape fabric across this entire thing and covering it with mulch. I don't think I'm going to do that today, but I am at least going to get the border started with fabric and stones. So essentially, out. Like that. So, started this wall with those paver stones that we're repurposing. Got some fabric. I raked out a little trench along the border for these paver stones to kind of sit in,
And when I raked that out, a bunch of new grass that I hadn't yet burned came back up out of the dirt. So we'll see if we can get a better torch color on this, if you can see the flame.
You see that?
Yeah.
It's probably still too dim.
Little. I can see the knife.
Just want to burn out and damage as much of the stuff that we tilled up as possible so it doesn't grow back, you know, once we start putting landscape fabric and mulch down, because eventually this is going to be filled with raised beds, so I don't want weeds to come up. So this is like the first flush of the weeds. Help if I turn it off first.